Jennifer Lopez has long been a figure of strength and resilience in the public eye. Her life, both professional and personal, has been under the microscope for decades. Amidst the ongoing legal turmoil surrounding her ex, Sean "Diddy" Combs, a resurfaced interview has reignited public interest, with many asking whether the global superstar ever felt afraid of her former partner. The question isn't merely salacious. It cuts deep into the larger narrative of accountability, silence, and survival in an industry often marred by power imbalances and unspoken trauma. The timing of this resurfaced interview is no coincidence. As Sean Combs faces grave allegations in a human trafficking trial, every detail from his past is being scrutinized, including his highly publicized relationship with Lopez in the late 1990s. Their romance, once splashed across tabloids and hailed as a power couple dynamic, ended under mysterious and dramatic circumstances, especially following a nightclub shooting incident in 1999 that led to Combs' arrest and eventually Lopez walking away from the relationship. The emotional undertones of that relationship, especially as seen in hindsight, now carry far more weight. In the resurfaced interview, which is quickly circulating online, Lopez is asked directly whether she was ever afraid of Combs. Her response, measured and slightly guarded, doesn't offer a simple yes or no. Instead, she chooses her words carefully, suggesting a level of unease that she is either unwilling or unable to fully articulate. She speaks about growth, self-respect, and the power of knowing when to walk away. For many watching the clip today, her body language tells a parallel story, one of a woman who has endured more than she says aloud. This interview clip comes at a time when survivors of abuse and trafficking are finding their voices, often years or decades after the fact. Lopez's silence in the face of questions about Combs' trial is being interpreted in multiple ways. Some see it as complicit, others as an act of self-preservation. Her refusal to comment publicly so far could stem from a desire to distance herself from a painful past, protect her current family, or simply because she, like so many others, has learned that speaking out comes with its own cost. The current allegations against Sean Combs are explosive and deeply disturbing. The charges suggest a long-running and deeply embedded network of coercion, manipulation, and abuse. These are not simple accusations of misconduct. They involve claims of exploitation and trafficking, crimes that destroy lives and futures. For someone like Jennifer Lopez, whose brand is built on empowerment and triumphing over adversity, being connected in any way to such a scandal is both professionally and personally complicated. During the height of their relationship, Lopez and Combs were an unstoppable force in pop culture. From red carpet appearances to music collaborations, they were constantly in the spotlight. But as the years passed, Lopez rarely spoke about Combs. When she did, it was in vague terms of mutual respect and lessons learned. There were no deep dives into the dynamics of their relationship, no memoir-style revelations. Now in the midst of Combs' trial, that silence is being reinterpreted. Was she protecting him or protecting herself? Public reactions to the resurfaced interview have been intense. Social media is flooded with clips of the segment, and users are parsing every word, every glance, every pause. Body language experts have been brought in by tabloid shows to dissect Lopez's tone and posture. Survivors of abuse are sharing their own stories, saying they see themselves in her reticence. This moment is becoming more than just celebrity gossip. It is morphing into a conversation about trauma, fear, and how powerful men often escape accountability for years, sometimes decades. Legal analysts point out that Lopez is not legally obligated to testify or speak on the matter unless subpoenaed. Yet, in the court of public opinion, silence is often interpreted as complicity. Critics argue that given her massive platform and influence, Lopez has a responsibility to speak out against abuse, especially now. Supporters counter that demanding such a statement from her is unfair, as it puts the burden on the potential victim rather than the accused. It's important to understand the complexity of these expectations. Jennifer Lopez, like many women in the entertainment industry, has navigated a career filled with scrutiny, objectification, and the pressure to maintain a certain image. Speaking out against a former partner, especially one as influential as Sean Combs once was, could have had, and may still have, serious consequences. The entertainment industry is notoriously punishing to women who speak out, particularly against men who are well-connected. Historically, those who do are often blacklisted, smeared, or disbelieved. Even in the era of MeToo, coming forward remains a fraught decision. Some celebrities have spoken up in solidarity with Lopez, whether directly or indirectly. Others have chosen to remain quiet. The entertainment world is watching closely, with many wondering who will speak next. What's clear is that the trial of Sean Combs has reopened old wounds for many, not just for Lopez, and has forced a reckoning within the music and entertainment industries. Behind the scenes, insiders suggest that Lopez is carefully considering her next move. Her team is reportedly aware of the media frenzy surrounding the resurfaced clip and the growing pressure for her to address it. Some speculate she may release a statement, not about the trial itself, but about her experience as a woman navigating toxic relationships and public pressure. Such a move could be powerful, even healing, not just for her but for millions who look up to her. Others believe she will remain silent, choosing not to let this moment define her narrative. After all, Lopez has spent years building a legacy beyond her relationships. From her breakout role in Selena to her recent ventures, in producing and philanthropy, she has become much more than a tabloid fixture. Still, her past with Combs is part of her story, and in today's world, the public demands authenticity and courage. One can't ignore the broader implications of this moment. If Lopez does speak out, she may pave the way for others to share their stories, people who were silenced or overshadowed by Combs's fame. If she remains silent, she still speaks volumes, though the interpretation of that silence will remain hotly debated. Her choice, whatever it may be, is deeply personal and likely shaped by a multitude of factors we can't see or understand from the outside. The world is watching, and perhaps unfairly so. We must remember that survivors of trauma deserve the right to choose how and when they speak. Jennifer Lopez owes the public nothing in this regard. Yet her words, if and when they come, have the potential to shift conversations, shed light, and offer solidarity. The legal battle facing Sean Combs is still unfolding, and its outcome remains uncertain. What is certain is that his past is now under a microscope. Associates, former employees, collaborators, and ex-partners are all being reevaluated. As more allegations surface, the pressure mounts, not just on him, but on everyone who was once in his orbit. In this climate, every old interview, every photo, every rumor is being re-examined for hidden truths. The court of public opinion is relentless, and celebrity culture has merged with a new age of digital accountability. As for Jennifer Lopez, her legacy is not defined by this moment, but this moment is undeniably part of her journey. Whether she chooses to speak or stay silent, she is navigating a path many women know too well, the tension between public expectation and private pain. There is an aching familiarity in the story of a woman tied to a powerful man whose fall from grace forces her to relive, rethink, and possibly reframe her past. It is not an easy path, and it is not one she walks alone. The image of Jennifer Lopez, confident, successful, and seemingly invincible, has long been celebrated as a symbol of perseverance. Yet beneath that public image is a woman who, like so many others, may have experienced complexities in a relationship that the world only saw through the filtered lens of celebrity glamour. When the powerful men women once trusted are suddenly revealed to be perpetrators of harm, it throws into question not only the history shared with them, but the very nature of survival in a world that rarely allows women the space to speak safely or without consequence. As Sean Diddy Combs faces a barrage of serious allegations, including human trafficking and sexual assault. A wave of reflection has gripped the entertainment industry and its observers. These revelations don't exist in a vacuum. They echo across time, triggering unresolved emotions and buried memories. For Jennifer Lopez, who once stood side by side with Combs at premieres, in music studios, and in the public eye, this moment may be as emotionally disruptive as it is publicly significant. Though years have passed since their relationship ended, the magnitude of the current accusations forces a retrospective lens on their past. It demands a reevaluation not only of who he is alleged to be, but what that means for those who once loved and trusted him, especially those who had to extract themselves from his orbit at great personal cost. People often forget that silence can be a survival strategy. In a world where the most powerful often manipulate the narrative, silence is sometimes the only safe response. It's tempting to ask why Lopez hasn't made a statement or distanced herself more overtly. But doing so risks reducing her experience to sound bites, ignoring the internal conflicts she may be processing. It ignores the many reasons women stay quiet: fear, shame, legal threats, career risk, or the weight of emotional trauma. Public figures like Lopez are often expected to become immediate spokespeople for experiences that may still be raw or unresolved. There's a societal impatience for clarity, for definitive stances. But healing doesn't work on the public's schedule, and neither does truth-telling. For Lopez, who has carefully cultivated a career based on empowerment and reinvention, revisiting a relationship that may carry complicated emotional undertones is no simple task. Every move she makes is dissected by the media, her image scrutinized for inconsistencies. Even a single statement risks being misquoted, weaponized, or used to overshadow her achievements. It's not just about speaking out, it's about the risk of being reduced to someone else's narrative, of having your own truth repurposed in service of someone else's scandal. And it must be said, Lopez doesn't owe the world a public dissection of her past. She owes herself safety, authenticity, and peace. What makes this moment even more complex is the shifting landscape of public accountability. In the past decade, movements like MeToo have given many women the courage to come forward with their stories. These movements have also reshaped public expectations, especially of women in the spotlight. There's a growing belief that silence equals complicity, that not speaking out makes one culpable. But this belief, while rooted in a desire for justice, risks oversimplifying the nuances of trauma and erasing the agency of survivors. It also unfairly centers the conversation on the reactions of women rather than the actions of the accused. The focus should remain squarely on the behaviors and systems that allowed abuse to flourish, not on the victim's choices to speak or remain silent. There's also a profound loneliness that comes with being linked to someone accused of monstrous things. The world looks at you differently. You are expected to justify, explain, or denounce your past. But those demands do not come without emotional costs. For Jennifer Lopez, the memories of her relationship with Combs may now be entangled with a sense of confusion, sorrow, or even guilt. Not because she did anything wrong, but because that's how trauma often works. Survivors often ask themselves what signs they missed, what more they could have done, whether they enabled behavior unknowingly. These internalized questions are cruel and relentless, and no one should be forced to confront them publicly before they are ready. In many ways, the court of public opinion can be harsher than any legal proceeding. It renders judgment quickly and with little compassion. But real life, real trauma, doesn't work that way. It moves slowly, unevenly, in waves. Lopez may be watching the unfolding case with the same disbelief and horror as the rest of us. She may be re-traumatized by the news, or she may be numb. These are possibilities that the public doesn't always consider, because we tend to forget that celebrities are human beings. They grieve, they reflect, they suffer. They just have to do it with cameras watching. It's also important to acknowledge that many women see parts of themselves in Lopez's silence. They recognize the difficulty in confronting a painful past, the agony of being tied to a man who is later revealed to be dangerous. Her story, what little of it we know, resonates with those who've had to smile through trauma, who've had to build new lives while carrying the invisible weight of what they survived. That resonance, that quiet solidarity, is not diminished by a lack of public statement. In fact, for many, her restraint speaks louder than any press release ever could. As the world waits for justice in the courtroom, it must also find empathy outside of it. It must allow space for those connected to the accused to come to terms with their past in their own time and on their own terms. Jennifer Lopez may never fully explain what her relationship with Sean Combs was like behind closed doors, and she shouldn't have to. But her silence, her measured caution, is its own form of testimony, a reminder of the emotional complexity that comes with surviving relationships shadowed by power, fame, and fear. The conversation shouldn't be about demanding Lopez's voice, but about listening if and when she chooses to use it. And perhaps in doing so, we will all learn a bit more about what strength, fear, and survival really look like. Her story is not just a reflection of her past with one man. It's a mirror held up to a society that often asks the wrong questions of the wrong people. By shifting that focus, we create the space for healing, for understanding, and for a future in which survivors are not only heard, but truly seen.